And ladies and gentlemen, it's food for thoughts now, leading with Agentic AI, executive perspective with Travolution. And who could do this better than my very dear colleague, Kate Harden-England, the editor of Travolution. Kate, with pleasure, this stage is yours. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Dirk. Good afternoon, everyone. As Dirk said, I'm Kate Harden-England, editor of Travolution, Europe's leading, are we back in the room? Yes. Digital travel and travel technology publication. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are very short for time, so this will be a whistle-stop tour of leading with Agentic AI for commerce. So please join me in welcoming my fantastic panelists to the stage, James Lemon of Stripe and Stephanie Madée of Amadeus.
Hello.
Hi. Mic test, perfect. Let's roll, people. So let's make it fun. Let's bring the energy. It's Wednesday afternoon, and we're talking about something genuinely really exciting. So let's imagine an alien landed for the first time, but somehow has a basic knowledge and concept of technology. How would we decipher and break down agentic commerce for them? James.
So I think the first thing an alien would do is go, what on earth is a search box? Why have we for 20 years, made people select dates and times in a really manual way?
Get rid.
I think we've all realized over the last couple of years that it's a really exciting time to start our travel discovery using prose, using natural language. And agentic commerce is the next stage of that journey, moving from let's discover to actually let's book and buy. So it's really any payment, any interaction where an agent's involved. And as we'll say, that starts with, hey, I want to be in full control of this, but make it a little bit easier to actually look, you know my calendar and you know where I travel on business, just get it booked before I've even thought about it.
Perfect. Well, James, that leads me on to the next part, which is if I rewind slightly to 2025, and Stripe co-founders Patrick and John, in their annual letter, they described agentic commerce as being broken down into 5 stages, or levels as they refer to it, and we're currently only at level 1 or 2, they predict, being the fact that we are stopping to sort of look and searching, and we're now describing things instead. What do we need to realistically realize to get to the desired level 5?
Yeah, so this is something everyone at Stripe is spending a lot of time thinking about. So for those of you who don't know Stripe, we're a big kind of payment financial technology company, really thinking about the way that companies take money, manage money, and pay out money. And my job is to bring that to life for the travel industry. So there is a huge wave of consumer demand suggesting that people absolutely want to explore, book, and pay for particularly retail, trips, presents, travel in this kind of way. What Stripe have launched, something called the Agentic Commerce Protocol, is basically kind of the world's first way that can happen inside ChatGPT and now Copilot and lots more of the LLMs to come. But you're right, we're kind of on a human journey. Right now, it might be we send our agent to fill in a few forms and save some time. It might be that there's a buy button, but we want to press that buy button ourselves. But Stripe's making a bet that that's going to move pretty quickly into more fully delegated or even predictive kind of behavior from our personal agents, which, may actually go ahead and book travel, book options for us, particularly those quite repeatable tasks. For me, I think what I'm excited about is the consumer definitely wins, because I think in travel, we know it's really complicated by demographic and trip type and segment, but what's really clear is, the business trip I take all the time, sure, just go and book that for me, but obviously my family holiday, I'm not ready to completely push that over to you. So I can see a series of stages where agentic AI, agentic commerce works for us, and we get a chance to say, look, this is where you can go and shop for me, this is where I want to be in charge of the buy button, or actually just go and run my travel program for me.
Can I add a detail to this?
Yeah, please.
So it's just a detail, but for me it's an important detail. So you mentioned the commerce protocols, no? So the protocols, the standards currently the AI assistants are using are not travel ready. So they are based on a fixed reference number. Mm-hmm. For example, if you buy a Samsung TV model 1234, you have a fixed reference number, and then you can easily find this. This is not existing in travel. There are no reference numbers. The entire discovery process so far in this kind of protocols is missing. And you create the reference number in travel when you search. And so, for example, NDC, you call the airline, you get an offer and an offer ID. Another example is the notion of servicing, like we know this in travel, is not existing in the current protocols. So it is a detail, but an important one. And in Amadeus, we have started now to assess what it takes to make these protocols travel ready, that everyone in the industry can really benefit from this.
Yep, that's exactly what needs to come next. You're absolutely right. So the big LLMs thought this would be easiest to do in retail first. So these are, most of the big US retailers are now live with Stripe connecting LLMs to big retailers. The exciting new project is actually how do we bring this to life for travel. And after 20 years in travel and constantly defending the industry and saying, we're not the retail industry, don't bring us the same technology, I guess I'm now sitting on the fence. And I'm like, we can learn a huge amount from what we've done in the last 6 months with the big LLMs. But you're absolutely right. We need to make it travel ready. And I think that's a great opportunity for partners like Platform, like Amadeus and others to bring that content and control the pipes, because we don't have a static product catalog in the same way.
So Stephanie, if we rewind to 2025 as well, and in the Q3 finance call, CEO of Amadeus, Luis Moroto, had referenced AI assistants, and actually, I quote, said that they are unlikely to become merchant or full content aggregators on its own, ultimately, which is expanding Amadeus's role rather than eroding it, which is fantastic news. But this is due to travel's complexities, and that content fragmentation needs to be aggregated and standardized. I mean, what kind of steps have been taking place at Amadeus over the last sort of 12 months to really realize this role?
So yeah, I think we start from a position of strength. No, we are the orchestrator, the trusted orchestrator with the trusted data. And we are deeply embedded in the travel industry. So what steps have we taken? We have built a new AI-friendly API, which is easy to consume by AI assistant, AI agents, but as well, of course, travel sellers, which is super important, no? We are offering MCP on top of several services, for example, our leisure platform. We are in conversations with the different AI assistants together with our customers to see what is the most valuable use cases we can start to work on. We are now looking, or we are now really investing into contextual capabilities at scale and the agentic orchestration. Thanks to the acquisition of Skylink, beside other activities, we are partnering with the big tech players like Microsoft and Google, which helps us a lot, of course, to co-innovate together and create the road ahead together.
Brilliant. And what about the roles? Are they going to change as we know it now?
So I worked myself in a travel agency, and I remember very well, and I worked as well for a tour operator, and I know how much effort it is, all these manual tasks. So I think agentic AI will definitely change these kind of roles. It will remove this transaction processing and will focus more on where humans can really create value. I think this is one thing where roles are definitely changing. Then, as James said before, the search behavior is changing. No, instead of filling forms, in future you have the natural language, and with this comes a lot of contextual information. So, hey, I'm looking for a trip with my son to Iceland. He's 11, he loves football, la 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 la. And all of these contextual information will as well change the role that you are able to really tailor-make the offers. Then this is what currently the AI assistants are doing, no? So when you look what they are doing, they are especially active in the inspiration process with all of these contextual data. They can recommend you the perfect things. They will in future as well facilitate bookings. But will this facilitation mean that there is no room for travel experts? I doubt that, honestly. You need to have people taking care of everything before, during, and after the trip, especially when something goes wrong, no? An AI assistant does not want to become the merchant of record. They don't want to be the fulfiller. There's definitely a lot of room which someone and the travel experts need to fill. And then some people might think integrating travel is integrating everything what is needed to offer travel is super easy, but it is not. Travel is complex, and as said before, the devil is very often
in the detail.
In the detail, yes. So it is complex, and travel is just one vertical what they will cover. It's not, they are not travel experts. They will cover everything in our life. Travel is one vertical. So the need for orchestration, aggregation, and standardization is even growing more than before.
James?
Yeah, look, I agree. I think the coming of agentic commerce is absolutely a revolution in travel distribution. I would say there's a chance for everyone to win, but you've got to move fast, and the roles could easily shift around like who might aggregate and what might work. The three things it takes to win in agentic commerce are discovery. Do you have a strong brand? Are people talking about it? Can you be found? Accuracy, which is exactly what we're talking about. Can you get your live availability rates and inventory out accurately to the right person and blend that with some unstructured data? And then payments, which is in a frictionless, safe way, can you take money off travelers and move it to the merchants? I think if we spend years as an industry talking about who's the merchant, we're going to miss the boat and other people will grab it. All the evidence from the LLMs is this is more like the new meta search. Look, they're like, look, they want to play, they want to make it frictionless, they want to give you all the options, but they're not going to get into travel in that way. So I think the opportunity for, great distribution pipes, for great payments, for brands to appear, I think all of that's to play for, and that could well be travel agencies and OTAs, it'll be direct suppliers. All of that, I think, is still to be determined, and it'll go to the stronger brands, the swift moving, and the people who are kind of really building those AI muscles on real working product today.
Stephanie, you felt like you wanted to add something there.
I just wanted to add something, but he said it at the end.
Oh, good. Perfect. Well done, James. So look, if we're looking at Stripe and Amadeus, Stripe alone in the last sort of like 12 months, I mean, you've already mentioned it, you've got the Agentic Commerce suite, you've launched machine payments, all sorts of going on, you've got the partnerships, both of you as well. What would you say would be the standout moment for you that Stripe has built to really make a difference, to lay those foundations for us to be successful in an agentic era?
So we spent most of 2025 building our Agentic Commerce protocol, which is effectively, after being locked in a room for 6 months between OpenAI and Etsy, which is a great comparison. It's a platform that's tucked behind the scenes and lets lets all its merchants shine, which is exactly what travel distribution platforms do. We realized that this is never going to work if every merchant has to build to specific kind of large language model standards and requirements. So almost immediately we made that open source, and in a true way. So you can go onto GitHub right now and you can start offering your feedback and thoughts, and we'll ship the updates. So it's kind of like the new Linux or the new standard. That's huge because it means we're not saying to all the merchants in the world, you've got to use Stripe, you've got to get off your payment processor.
Yeah.
Shared payment tokens, for example, the core of it is saying, look, we'll create a checkout-like experience on a big LLM like ChatGPT or on the next big travel concierge, and we'll just shift that data package of what needs to be paid by when to whom to the merchant, and then they can go ahead and charge it. And that feels small, but in an industry where we've really made a hash of B2B payments over the last 20 years, that's quite a revolutionary way to think about it. But it changes all the time. Our job is to be that kind of single orchestration layer so this works. So even last night when I wake up this morning on LinkedIn, we've now shipped the connector to the Visa protocol, the MasterCard protocol. We've gone live in our shared payment token with Klarna and Affirm, which these are really flexible payment methods that are just core to great payments in travel. So we're obsessed about being, I suppose, the fastest moving innovator in the space. But yeah, getting that Agentic Commerce suite working for everyone who wants to work fast in this space, like that's the DNA of what we're trying to get right.
I mean, Stephanie, we've already seen from Sergio just the wins that are happening at Amadeus. What have been your standouts for the last 12 months?
Sorry, I did not really get the question.
Oh, just the same question as James. So what's been the standout for what Amadeus is building and making waves in that agentic front?
So yeah, we, as said, we invested a lot already in the things like the MCP layer and so the basics. So let's start with the basics as trust, and I think trust will be the adoption mover. So reliability is super important. And as Sergio had presented, we invested a lot in post-booking activities as well, because we see that there is really a lot of value. And it starts with voice-to-voice, text-to-text, but as well automating all the processes behind this. So with the agents just taking over everything what currently the humans need to do. So here is definitely a lot of benefits. And this is where we invested a lot on top of what I had said before.
So the value is for businesses post-booking, you're saying. James, would you maybe agree with that sentiment?
I would say the biggest value for agentic AI is short-term, for sure, post-booking.
Okay,
or
short-term.
Maybe not post-booking, but short-term, I would definitely say it is everything which makes things easier and which lift and automate things. So, and post-booking is one of the areas which is super messy, where travel is super messy and where an AI agent can really make a big difference, no? So, for example, when you have a major schedule change, I just remember working myself in a travel agency, you spend sometimes between 20 and 40 minutes just for one use case. Mm-hmm. And very often you cannot even charge this. So here an AI agent can detect the schedule change, can assess the impact, can search for alternatives, can contact the traveler, can propose options, and if the options are fitting, it can automatically book. So, and this is really a release. You save a lot of time with this. So I would say short term, it is everything where you can automate, especially post-booking.
James?
Yeah, I think post-book, it's really important to get post-booking right, but I don't think that's an AI thing. I think that's just a great technology thing. So Stripe power the core payments for hundreds of travel agencies, hotel companies, technology companies. We've got a big travel agency that we'd all know in Australia that saved 20% of their total call center time simply by allowing guests to modify their trips online. You know, saving their credit card and just like really simple things that you can do with a modern financial stack. I think right now, if you haven't got post-booking sorted, it's a great place to start.
Yep.
But for me, the real opportunity here is in booking and discovery. I think if you think the way we've forced customers into quite siloed approaches to booking travel, and now finally we're asking them to really let us know whatever they want, I think we're going to see an explosion in what we've called for a decade the connected trip. But this idea they really might start with the experience, the meal, the destination, the way they want to feel, the way they want their kids to experience a destination, or the efficiency they've got to have on a business trip, and then the hotel and flight will kind of tuck in behind that. So for me, the agentic commerce piece and getting your teams familiar with the tech that's going to be needed for that, you know, it's very basic right now. It's coming fast. It's going to move even faster. I think for me, agentic commerce is a revolution in the way that travel is searched and booked and paid, and that's really where teams need to be focusing their time.
And I would agree with this. Long term, definitely. So short term, yes, everything about automation. Long term, is it booking? And so here, we build AI native solution for providers, for example, with Stratos or Nevio, to really be able to benefit as much as possible from the new ways of working.
Okay, we're drastically running out of time, which is such a shame, because there's quite a few things from that I wanted to pull out, but we just simply don't have time. So maybe the quickest answer possible in terms of what brands can build to really propel themselves in this era in the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay, so then I just say one thing. Get your data sorted. Data will be more important than ever. In future, brands do not only need to convince humans, they need to convince AI systems, and they are not, you cannot get them with emotions or visual clues. So here, data, facts, customer reviews, this is what matters. The AI assistants need to have the data to explain the reasoning why they are picking the offer.
Yeah, if I was going to do one thing to achieve that culture of kind of experimentation and agility, either in-house or find a partner to help you create an AI direct booking experience. So you can sit and wait and be like, when OpenAI say they'll do travel, we'll move. But we see the best platforms, businesses going, right, I'm actually going to create this on my own site. So we saw the Accor app launch a couple of weeks ago. You know, there's lots they can improve, but the point is they now have a team of people who know what they're doing, and they've got customers every day saying what they want to do in pure prose. They're showcasing content. They're thinking about what a payment button needs to look like. Like, these are the muscles we've got to build as an industry. So it's that experimentation to get it right on your own surfaces, whether that's your customers if you're a platform or your own sites if you run an app or a web.
Yeah. So first steps, you're looking at your website, you're looking at any of these apps integrations that we've seen, like Skyscanner last week, and then the next steps are we're going to start looking elsewhere and how we can fully make ourselves adaptable and visible to the AI agents and assistants.
I'm not a believer in this current app approach, I must honestly say. So when you use Gemini or ChatGPT, how likely is this that you ask for a brand? So you need to actively ask for a brand. Hey, I like to fly to London. Can you help me find a flight on Expedia?
Yeah.
So then you go to Expedia. Why should I? I don't believe that this is how it will work in future, no?
But I also think
it will change.
I think we all made in November 2023 when ChatGPT launched, it was really easy to be like, this is hallucinating like crazy. It's never going to work. If you look at the power it has now, like 2.5 years later. So I think apps version 1, a lot of flaws, but I think and apps may not be the strategy they adopt, but again, those teams that are building apps, they've got the experience now. They know what to do. They know how to get stuff live. They're already having conversations with ChatGPT, which is already a big step ahead of others. So I think, again, let's work with the products that are out there. Let's see how it evolves. But there's no way that what's available now is going to be the same in 6 months in anything in AI.
Yes, fully agree.
Okay, last word. What's your key takeaway if you could sum it up in a word for people to focus on?
Experimentation.
Data.
Okay, brilliant. Huge round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.